Hi and welcome to Intection. Today I will show you how to install Kali Linux 2018.1 into VMware Fusion. I'm Steve Newman, and the first thing you need to do is go to Kali, the Kali download page, which is in www.kali.org, and then go to their downloads page, and you will need to download Kali Linux, their ISO. Now there's many versions, so in the table select the Kali Linux you need. I'm going to go for the Kali Linux 64-bit, and I will also use the HTTP download link. So and once I've done that, you'll click on that and you will save your file, which will go to your downloads folder. I've already done this, so I'm going to close out of this. It just saves you watching the download. Now it's important to note that they've done a calculation called a checksum on the file, and this is an important number, so you need to copy that out, and that will enable us to check later on whether the file we've received is the file that is not been tampered with. So I'm going to open up text edit, and I'm going to paste that SHA-256 sum into text edit, and that way I can show you how to do a comparison. So first of all, let's paste that into text edit. So there you go, there's the calculation. So next thing we need to do is go, when your download's finished, you need to go to your downloads folder. So I'll just show you where the download will go. So this is on OS X. So if I go into my downloads directory, which I have in terminal, and now I'm going to I've created a subdirectory which you wouldn't have, called Kali, and if I look there, I've got Kali-Linux. That's the ISO. So what we're going to do is going to copy that to save us typing it in again later. So the next thing we need to do is now compare. So we need to do the same calculation that the website owners did, and to do that you type in SHA-sum space and then -a, and then you need to say what kind of calculation. In this case it's a 256, so we type 256 and then the name of the file, so space and the name of the file that you want to do the calculation on. So I've already done that, so I'm going to paste in what we've done. Then when you press enter, it will take a little while for the computer to do the calculation, and it will return a similar string which we will need to copy. So that should come in a moment. Now this is important that you get into the habit of doing this kind of thing, because ultimately people have been known to tamper with the files. So there you go, there is the checksum. So we copy that out and go back to your text document and copy it again in a new line underneath. Now this will look weird on here because the fonts are different, but don't worry, we'll correct the fonts in a sec. So first of all, we need to make sure the fonts are the same and the same size. So I'm just quickly going to do that. Obviously that will be different depending on where you choose to paste it or what you need to use on your system. So make sure the fonts are the same. That's just for convenience. So we've done that, and now they look the same length and size. And if I just zoom in, I can show you that you just need to compare what you can see. So we just zoom in again, let's make it so you can see, and then if you compare the characters from the left to the right, and just make sure that they're all the same, and as we can see, these are exactly the same. So we know that the file we downloaded in our downloads directory is the one that was intended by the makers. So we're going to cancel and delete that out because we don't need that document. So now we know the file is safe. The next thing we need to do is we can exit out of our terminal, and we need to fire up our VMware Fusion. So we're going to close out our windows. So let's fire up VMware Fusion, and we've got the 64-bit one here, and we're going to go to the virtual machine library, and we're going to add a new virtual machine. And we'll click new, and this comes up with a little wizard which asks you to drop the ISO image on there. So what we're going to do is open up our downloads directory where I've placed the image. Now obviously that's up to you where you put yours, so I have mine in a little directory called Kali. I'm going to drag that Kali image, drop it over onto the create a new virtual machine page. As you can see, it's there, and now I'm going to click continue. Now we need to tell VMware Fusion what kind of operating system it is. In this case, we're going to pick Debian 9 x64-bit and click continue. We're going to leave the settings on the next page alone, click continue, and then you could click finish, but I'm going to click customize because I want to name it and change some settings. So let's call this Kali Linux VM. So you just type that in there. You can call it what you like. And then click save. And because I intend to use this machine, I want to change the settings. So in here you can put a note about what it is if you wish. But I want to go and change the processor and memory. So we're going to change the processor to 2 cores. The memory, you can adjust this slider, which is a bit difficult. I want to go up to 2 gig of RAM, or you can type in the little box that changes to the right. So that's 2048. So let's type in 2048. You can change that to whatever you wish. So that's now 2 cores, and we've changed that. The display, I tend to change it to accelerated graphics as a standard. You don't need to do that. I'll leave all the other settings the same as before. And then the next thing I want to do is just show you that for USB and Bluetooth, we don't need to make any changes, but I always make sure the share is enabled. That's because you want to plug in USB Wi-Fi adapters, and then we have to start the virtual machine. Now VMware Fusion would have loaded the ISO, the Kali ISO, and then it's booted it up. Now Kali works in a number of ways. The ISO, you can run it in a live mode, which means it doesn't install, it just runs off the virtual CD, or you can install it. Now we need to install it, so we're going to select install. There is a graphical install which either will work, but I'm going to use the install that is a text-based. The steps are exactly the same. Now this can be a reasonably long process, so the first thing you need to do is select your language, English. I'm going to select United Kingdom, and then configure my keyboard, so select that. And then slowly the system will get itself ready. Detecting the local network and so forth, just to see what hardware it has, and again this is all virtual hardware. And then eventually it will come up with a number of screens, all in text mode, which we'll have to answer some questions to enable us to install Kali Linux. So the first thing is give it a host name. That is the name that this device will, or this virtual machine, will appear on your network. Put whatever you like. I'm going to call mine Kali Linux, and click continue. Domain name, this is optional really. You can use your workgroup name. I'm going to put local.domain, and then we will click continue. Now you have to set a root password. By default, Kali Linux uses root when you log in. So now it's going to retrieve some more bits. Now we have to set up your disk, set entire disk. Again, this is virtual, so it doesn't really matter what you're doing, and then select all files in one partition recommended. It's the easiest way to do this. And then you select finish partition and write changes to disk. And then you have to select yes. By default it will say no, and that will commit everything to partition to disks. Now again, this is all virtual. So this part, the copying, takes a long time. So it could take about 10 minutes. So I fast forwarded this to speed it up. My machine isn't as fast as that. And when it's completed, you now need to tell it whether or not you want to connect to the internet, and I go yes, and this internet is to enable connection will enable the Kali Linux install to download app packages. We don't need a proxy in my case, but adjust yours there. and then basically it will connect to the internet and download additional packages that it can as part of its install process. Now we'll install the group bootloader. Select the device, and that's the installation complete. It will now clean itself up. Now again, that can take a while, so I have fast forwarded it apart, so you don't have to listen or watch rather all of that. Now in a moment the system will restart and you'll be on your first reboot. Now although you can use this virtual machine when it comes up, ideally in all these virtual environments you need to install the host tools, and they effectively enable the guest machine to work better with the host machine, and I'll show you that in a different video. But for now, let's let the machine's first boot, and it will bring up into its graphical interface now and ask you to log in. In this case, we'll log in as root, and the password that you set, and that is it. It's now going to come up into the final desktop, and that is how to install Kali Linux. Now please watch my next video, and that video will show you how to install the guest tools for VMware Fusion, and that's all there is for this video. So thank you very much for watching. So please subscribe and like my video and watch my next one. Thank you very much.